Hello, and welcome to our tutorial for the ALS Charity Analyzer. I'm Dave, and I've worked in financial analytics at two of the country's largest banks for the past 25 years. I've been told that I have a knack for taking large amounts of complex information and boiling it down into actionable insights. Since my ALS diagnosis in May 2023, I've been curious about the ALS charity landscape. How many organizations are out there? How much money do they pull in? And where does all that money go exactly? We developed the ALS Charity Analyzer to try and answer those questions. Our hope is that ALS charities use this tool to learn about each other, benchmark themselves against peers, and find opportunities to partner. Our other hope is that the ALS patient community explores this tool and uses this information to ask questions and constructively hold charities accountable. Our list of 89 ALS charities was sourced using GuideStar and includes all active 501c3 organizations focused on ALS. We excluded organizations that focus more broadly, like MDA and MGH, but we'd love to pull in their ALS components with their help. All of our financial data is derived from publicly available IRS tax filings. It's easy to download and comes in a common format, although we recognize it may differ from and be published later than audited financials. We will always clarify where data is directly pulled from a source versus interpreted or analyzed by us. We also did a review of charities' public websites to help us understand their missions, focus areas, and service offerings where applicable. It was a pleasure to learn about these charities and how each one works to make an impact on ALS causes. To be clear, we did not involve any of the ALS charities in the development of this tool. We hope to work with organizations and the patient community to evolve this concept into a sustainable, accurate, and user-friendly resource for the ALS landscape for years to come. With that background, let's look at the tool. We're going to attack this in two parts. First, I'll give you a quick orientation on how to navigate the tool. Then, I'll tell you more about what the different terms, measures, and ratios are all about. When you come to our homepage at als.ceo, click on ALS Charity Tools and select ALS Charity Analyzer. Note that you will need to use a computer or tablet, as the tool is not yet set up for mobile devices. If the tool looks small on your screen, you can enter full screen mode by clicking on the double arrow icon. When done, you can press Escape to be brought back to the website. Throughout the website, you will see small circles with question marks called tooltips. Click on the tooltips for more information about different items within the tool and press the X to close them. The tool will always default to showing you all 89 ALS charities. To drill down, use the filters towards the top of the screen. When you select a filter, the rest of the page refreshes to show you the resulting list and updated summary measures and pie charts. To go back to the full list, just deselect the filter. To drill down further for a specific charity, select one. Then select Click for Organization Details. A profile will pop up with an array of information as well as links to organization websites, GuideStar profiles, and tax filings. When you're done, click the X to return to the main screen. If you see something that looks missing or incorrect in the tool, or if you have any feedback you would like to share, please send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Now let's talk about terminology, starting with the basics. An organization's mission is its reason for being. Everything an organization does should be in its pursuit of its mission. An EIN is basically a social security number for a nonprofit, as it acts as a unique identifier. Fiscal year end date refers to the last day of the last reporting year. It represents the as-of date of the financial information for a given organization in the tool. We have also categorized each organization to enable users to filter by subgroup. We use focus to denote where a charity spends more than 90% of its program expenses on either support, research, advocacy, or a mix of these. We use material support to tie this work to our ALS Help Finder tool by flagging which charities offer financial aid, equipment, and other tangible support to patients and caregivers. ALS United simply tags the former ALS Association chapters that now make up this group. Financial measures make up the foundation of the tool. Assets constitute the wealth of the organization at a given point in time, while liabilities refer to its obligations. Netting these together gets us the net assets, which effectively represents the organization's net worth and is a good indicator of its financial position. Gross receipts are the raw amount of donations, grants, and other inbound funds. Deducting the direct costs of generating these funds gives us the revenues. Expenses include the costs of running the organization. There is no profit in a nonprofit, obviously, but a surplus of revenues in excess of expenses increases net assets for use in future years. Total expenses can be broken down into three main categories. Program costs represent what an organization spends in pursuit of its mission. Administrative costs are the overhead expenses of running the charity. Fundraising costs include all of the expenses related to things like events and campaigns, including salaries of employees working on these efforts. Obviously, we want to see as much of the expense concentrated in program costs as possible. Drilling down into program expenses, we can categorize these in two ways. We can break these down by purpose into our three focus areas: support, research, and advocacy. We can also break these down by method in terms of whether funds are reallocated to other organizations and individuals or retained to support the organization's own programs. Note that these categories are not always clearly reported in the tax filings. We did our best to pull this information out of the tables and will work to refine it over time. We show three financial ratios in the ALS Charity Analyzer. Efficiency measures how much of each dollar spent goes directly towards its ALS programs. Clearly, we hope organizations are striving to maximize their efficiency as best they can. Utilization measures how much of a charity's total financial resources it spent in a given year. A very high number raises concerns about the long-term viability of the charity, while a very low number begs the question of whether new donations will sit in a bank account for a while rather than put to quick use. Retention measures how much of a charity's program expenses are put towards its own efforts. An organization with high retention should be able to demonstrate it is putting these funds to effective and efficient use, while an organization with low retention should be able to justify that these funds are being allocated to third parties in a sensible way. We understand that many of the terms, measures, and ratios we've been discussing will be unfamiliar to some users. For our closing thoughts, we want to stress that financial measures only represent a single point in time. Tax filings are due several months after the end of a fiscal year, and this deadline can be extended a few times, which means some financial information will be somewhat old. Financial ratios in isolation are neither good nor bad. We need to understand the bigger picture for each organization to make sense of what we are seeing. That's why the best use of these metrics is to ask thoughtful questions that will help these organizations uncover opportunities to become the best versions of themselves. No one in the community should jump to conclusions based on what they see in the ALS Charity Analyzer. We should all be good partners to each other and work together constructively and respectfully. Thank you for taking the time to view this tutorial. We invite you to explore the tool and reach out to us with any questions or feedback. We are happy to help in any way we can. Take care and be well, my friends.